Hello everyone and welcome into today's very calm video. It won't last, so enjoy the serenity while you can. If you ask where I sell on Bully Run Coffee on YouTube, all one word, Bully Run and then coffee. Put that in the search box up above in YouTube, and you can go to the www.bullyruncoffee.com website to get registered for our sales. Most of the items in this video are likely going to come to our next vault sale, which is slightly upscale. There's more gold and more designer pieces. Now, by the title of the video, I'm sure you're expecting some sort of drama, static, or garbage. If you want that, this is not the channel for it. But the title was correct. I had kind of a little falling out with one of my area pawn shops. It was over one transaction. It wasn't a personal thing, it was just business. And I had a deal done, and then they decided to change their mind on price, and they went up by $200. So I just had to walk away from the deal. And I had I think it was around $6,200 of items pulled out, and I put back $4,100 of those items. I will say that it is okay in business to have disagreements, but again, it was transactional and not a personal thing. But what I did is I went to another pawn shop, and I had these amazing scores. Look at this 18 karat gold, sterling silver, and cushion cut amethyst bracelet. Totally hallmarked in an inconspicuous area, 925, 18 karat, and designer marked. Look at the craft of this. Absolutely the quality of like David Yurman. I will look up that maker and see who we have, but those are 18 karat gold applied orbs. And then look at that cushion cut amethyst. That was very affordable. Absolutely very lovely. Now, everything else in the video with one exception, and the exception is this came in from a YouTube viewer. And what I wanted to say is everything else in the box with this as an exception, and outside the box is totally loaded. Let me grab a couple pieces. You'll want to stay tuned for this. Don't go anywhere. You'll want to stay tuned for, let's see, another one. You'll want to stay tuned for, yes, please. And, let me grab this one really quick. You'll want to stay tuned for this. And if you like Sapphire and Ruby, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned as I trip over that. And if you ask yourself, why am I so chilled out? It's because it's literally 2:20 in the morning. When everyone else is asleep, I'm wide awake doing YouTube content. That's what full-time resellers do. We work full-time. Look at this sapphire bracelet. This came in from a YouTube viewer. I don't know if he wants to have me say his name, but he contacted me because he knows I like very unusual antique pieces. And he tested this to be 10 karat gold or 14 karat gold. I still believe this is probably 14 karat. It does need a restoration here, and that is going to take some time to get done. There was another restoration that I did. I resoldered a link here. I used the old solder repair, and I repaired that on my own. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that fully restored, and then I'm going to have this fully restored. But look at those gigantic cabochon sapphires. Those are natural sapphires, and look at the inclusions. I love artistry in old pieces. So if you have such incredible pieces out there and you want to reach out, I'm a buyer 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So when he reached out, I said, how much would you like? And he told me, and I said, sure, I'll take it. I didn't quabble. I didn't say, let's make a deal. I said, that's very fair. I would love to have it. This is turn of the century. And these sapphires are truly incredible. I'll do more of a deep dive on this bracelet once I get this restored, but I am going to have my jeweler in Cleveland take this link out, restore that kind of top link there, and solder that back in place and put a jump ring in between. So a jump ring needs to be added, but you can see that that was just a make-do repair to get this bracelet back together. Circa dating the bracelet, I would say probably right at 1900 into 1915. definitely pre-Art Deco, really incredible bracelet. So, and to the fine gentleman who has now become my friend on YouTube, thank you so much for sending me the photographs, for reaching out and saying you love Unusual, and I'd love for you to have this. Two charms that are quite interesting. This is solid gold. It's a little globe. It's very old. Slightly into more of the vintage time period rather than antique, but I loved that. That is either 14 or 18 karat gold. And look at the Georgian book. So this is late Georgian, early Victorian. This is solid gold, likely 9 karat gold. And look at the little book opens, and look at that glazed compartment, likely rock crystal that has those 4 kind of applied, I should say, facets, and then that large table, and that's human hair underneath in that compartment. Very old, quite incredible survivor, and then that latches down to close that little book. Really incredible. Usually the loved one's initials are engraved on there. I loved this little book. Look at the detail of that hinge and the craft of something like that. That was a definite yes. Now, a lot of people love my rings, so I brought on some samples, but look at these. Rose de France, genuine amethyst. You can see the color zoning. See how part of that stone is darker there? That's because that is natural color zoning in that very pale pink, almost purple amethyst color. There, you can see the color zoning better. See the zones that run through there? So that is natural amethyst, known as Rose de France, because it is a very pale pink into a lavender. Those are solid 14 karat gold. Really incredible earrings. And those came from the pawn shop. And as soon as she opened the box, I said, I'm taking those for sure. Let me move that out of the way. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, would you please let me know in the comments section below? I feel like I'm so far away from these. Let me zoom in. I'll pause and be right back. And I just wanted to thank you again for joining in today. Outside the light box is this very large, genuine amethyst drop. Absolutely exceptional facet on the top and the back with the diamond crown there that goes into that bail. Beautiful and very elegant. It comes in a really magnificent presentation pouch, but that didn't fit inside the light box. I also bought an incredible ruby spray cocktail ring. Vintage cocktail rings are now very sought after. And look at those tapered baguette stones. Those are all natural ruby. And look at those great diamonds set in almost that martini style setting with the 3 prongs. Vintage through and through. And check out the thick shank that's on there. I always tell you, look at the shank system on the rings. You'll know when you're in the presence of greatness because they're robust without being clumsy. See how that tapers towards the top for comfortable wear? And look at that on the hand. Absolutely exceptional design, exceptional natural stones. I loved that spray or cascade design. Let me know down in the comments section below, what is your favorite ring in this display? So please watch the video all the way through. It does help my analytics on my channel, and I appreciate any sort of comments that you can leave down in the comments section below. I love the encouragement that you all have so graciously given me. This one is late Georgian, early Victorian. Again, I'm going to do some research on exactly what that says. And this is low carat gold, 9 karat or so. And look at the early hallmark on the outside of the shank. You would expect to see it on the inside of the band. And look at that little applied hallmark. Very early. And most of the time, all of those letters are completely worn down, but look how magnificent that is. Likely a sentimental piece that showed love as an affection of love. Endearment is what I should say between two people. I loved that ring. The energy on that is magnificent. And there are 3 more rings besides this one I wanted to show you. Please ignore the dust and the lint inside of the old presentation boxes, but that's what they came in, so that's what I'm leaving them in. This is one of those heirloom rings. earlier cut diamonds, likely European cut stones and transitional cut stones in terms of diamonds. There are 5 diamonds, and that is a very large solitaire in that ocean wave, again, asymmetrical spray style ring. So that is an heirloom ring. They would take older diamonds and, quote, redo them into these magnificent heirloom style rings. I'm sure that these diamonds were in something else a long time ago. That could have been a single earring or even a diamond engagement ring that was antique and then redone in the early 1940s through the mid 1950s. Solid 14 karat yellow gold on that. I loved that style. And those stones, the dazzle and scintillation of vintage and antique diamonds is incredible. Do not go anywhere. You'll want to see the Kunzite. You'll want to see this amazing aquamarine cocktail ring. Do not move a muscle. And you'll want to see this wonderful vintage gents band ring in solid 14 karat yellow gold. All right, I'll show you these 3 other ones. Check this one out. Definitely European in construction. A mixture of platinum and 14 karat yellow gold. I believe this to be a synthetic created ruby / pink sapphire to keep everybody happy out there. And look at these unusual faceted diamonds that are tension set or channel set in platinum down the shank of that really directional ring. On the finger, I thought that said opulent, elegance, but understated. Very incredible craft. And you have to remember, early synthetic stones were revered because it was all about the science of having such pieces. It wasn't about the fact that they were faux or fake stones. It was all about the science in creating those stones. Circa dating on this one would be right at 1920, right at the beginning of that Art Deco time period. Still very feminine, but very streamlined and very directional. Very simplistic in its approach. I thought that was absolutely magnificent. So, we get down to the sapphire and diamond version. This is late 1950s, white gold calibre cut sapphire in the center. Again, notice that incredibly thick shank system. Look how robust that is. See how very robust and very thick that is, both in its width and its depth. So that is all solid 14 karat white gold. Calibrate cut sapphires in the center, natural sapphires, natural earth mined diamond border, and then that incredibly beautiful and sparkling sapphire border. Loved the directionalness of this ring. Very conservative, yet very special in terms of its craft and the way that is completely hand fabricated. Wonderful labor of love on such pieces. And look at that great box. The Art Deco box is just totally magnificent. One of the final rings outside the box, even though, no, I take that back. There's also this one. I thought I was done with the haul, and it was like, no, this came from another pawn shop. And what had happened was I was in the area I stopped in, and I just said, do you have any gold items? And they said, we most certainly do. Would you like to see them? And they weren't out on the floor. And as soon as they brought this ring out, I didn't get a loop out. I didn't get a scale out. I said, I'll take it. It was an instantaneous buy. The way that this is created, a comfort fit band, solid 14 karat yellow gold, and look at those luxurious large diamonds. I would say each is approximately 20 points to give you well over 1 carat in total weight. And boy, oh boy, are those stones really lovely. I could grade diamonds now. After 30 years, I can get loose grading, and I'm usually within 1 or 2 color grades, and I'm usually within 1 clarity grade. So I'm getting really good at it, but it's taken me 30 years. And I could still make mistakes, but a diamondologist said to me, boy, you're almost better than people from GIA. I said, thank you so much for the compliment. It's all about applying my information over all of these years. And when I was in the presence of an expert, I kept my mouth shut and I listened. And that's where I got all of my information that I so proudly share with all of you now. This one is a European cut diamond, and there is a small chip to the diamond. Diamonds will chip from time to time, especially on that girdle and into the crown. That's where you'll normally see some chips, is right at that girdle edge where the crown meets the pavilion. And that is a very large European cut diamond. Look at the craft of this nugget ring. This was very expensive at the pawn shop because it was extremely heavy in gold. And it is signed IMG right here. It's signed IMG and 14 karat gold. And there's a very, very, very high-end jewelry store in Lyndhurst, Ohio. And it's IMG, and they do custom-made pieces like this. I think this could be one of their personal creations for a client that came in that had, again, heirloom diamonds that didn't know what to do with them, and then they had this nugget, abstract nugget design created, and then look how they set all of those diamonds down in there. I believe there's 9 stones total, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 diamonds in that ring. And look how lovely that is to have kind of that river design that runs through there. Very naturalistic and not overstated. Very classy. I like how boxy and masculine and unisex this is. After all, I don't know why people would gender jewelry. I don't quite understand it. I've always loved just the design of pieces. And I loved this. I thought the craft and the design was magnificent. And the stones, those dazzle and scintillation of European cut diamonds. I always say, knock out the light of a European cut diamond and look how I can outsparkle any contemporary diamond in the world. They were cut for, low lighting situations, candlelight. And boy, do they outperform contemporary stones when they're cut correctly. I would show you a gift. I will show you a gift from the pawn shop. It was so generous. It was a very generous gesture of kindness and business. I always need half-drilled pearls because, after all, I do a lot of antique restorations on lavaliers and antique brooches, and these are all cultured pearls that are, in fact, half-drilled. These are not drilled all the way through. They are not beads off of a necklace. These are half-drilled pearls, natural and cultured pearls that are half-drilled. These were given to me by the pawn shop, and these are so difficult to find now, especially in the much smaller millimeters. Some of these are incredibly small, and this will help me do hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of restorations. And half-drilled pearls, again, very difficult to find in smaller millimeters. And they so generously gifted me these. They let me pick these out of a large container, and they said, take what you need. And I didn't even want to take this many, and they insisted. They said, fill the whole bag. And I said, no, I don't want to fill the whole bag. They said, no, fill the whole bag with whatever you need. And I said, this is more than enough. This is so incredibly generous. And look how small some of those are to drill a hole in a pearl that small without breaking it. Anyways, I wanted to show you that because I still love doing my antique restorations. These came in from an area antique mall. These were not from the pawn shop, but I wanted to show you this. This is a hat pin holder by Schaefer and Vatter. That's Schaefer and Vatter. Look how incredible that antique hat pin holder is. Loved the design of that. That was out on my desk, and thank you for allowing me to show you that one. And let me show you this one. Look at this incredible hat pin holder. Yep, that's what it was. It was not a perfume bottle. This was a hat pin holder. And look at that acid etched surface in brass. And these are all rhinestones. Those are glass jewels. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. Made in the style of iris perfume bottles. And I have a very large collection of jeweled iris bottles. and I loved that. Absolutely incredible. So I wanted to show you that as well. I think this box is empty. Let me show you this one. Oh, you know what? Let's do the rings and then I'll show you the rest of the pieces. Stay tuned for the large diamond tennis bracelet. You won't want to miss that story. And again, these were all from the pawn shop, except this one came from the heart of Ohio. This was from the pawn. Incredible diamond band. I think this is a pretty large size. Let me grab my mandrel. And I think this is like a 10.5. Oh, 10 3/4. Look at that. And check out the dazzle and scintillation of those diamonds. Again, probably about a carat total. Basically what happened was I bought the ring for the metal value and I got the diamonds for free. Look at the azuring on the back. And when I say azuring, they drilled a hole in the center, and then an artist like myself, a silversmith or a goldsmith, went in there and cut out those square holes with a jeweler saw blade. So those are round holes drilled by a drill, and then those are opened up to let light through, and also easier cleaning of those stones. Also, if you see a solder seam that has like a little bit of discoloration, that is because they used a lower carat gold and that had oxidized over time. So that does not mean that that is plated, but you can see from here to here, it was sized and it was made bigger over time. There is a solder seam and there is a solder seam. And when people say, you always mention these solder seam things, that's what I show you. Is so there's a seam and there is a seam, and it just oxidized over time because it was lower carat. Maybe they used 10 karat gold solder rather than 14 karat gold, and it's oxidized over time. Look at how magnificent those stones are. And I love how closely they are set together. When you look at such gold pieces and diamond pieces, people say, how can you tell the quality? I did not get my loop out. I did not have a presidium tester. I did not have a scale. I bought this on intuition. I think I paid $11.50 for this, $1,150, because that's the gold value because of how heavy this ring is. And look at how closely these diamonds are set together. They're very well set. There's not a lot of air in between these stones, meaning they're very compact. That's a sure sign of quality. Look at those magnificent little prongs that they so carefully set those diamonds in. Incredibly special. And again, I can outshine any contemporary diamond. Look at those. I mean, they just really, you want to talk about the scintillation and dispersion of diamonds? I could do a whole video just on that. So thank you so much again for joining in. I'm so incredibly grateful. This one was the Kunzite from the heart of Ohio. I paid $40.50 for this east-west, I should have said east-west set Kunzite in solid 14 karat white gold from the Heart of Ohio Antique Center in Springfield, Ohio. If you've missed those two videos, please go over to my Oktoberfest video where I interviewed Jacob Berner, the owner of the Heart of Ohio, and now a friend of many years. Diamonds here at the shoulders, and that is one heck of an incredible Kunzite. Solid 14 karat white gold, and I paid $40.50. It was the score of the day. Truly, and this is further proof that I've been buying and reselling for over 3 decades, and I went through the whole mall, and as soon as I saw this in the case, I couldn't see a tag, and I said, I need that, and I went running for the key person. So it's further proof I can find needles in the haystack very frequently, and I just wanted to show you through my experience that I can find such pieces out in the wild. I want to encourage everyone, get out there and look. These pieces are still out amongst us in antique shops, antique stores, estate sales, box lots at storage auctions, you name it, these pieces are still out there. This is further proof of that. This is a large aquamarine, wonderful color and clarity. It is set in 14 karat white gold, and those are magnificent diamonds around this central aquamarine. It is a cocktail style ring, late 1930s into the 1940s on this specific mounting. and look at the clarity of that central aquamarine. Weight estimation on that stone based on the millimeter across and wide, and the depth of the stone goes very deep. It is approximately 15 and a half carats. It might go more towards 17 and a half carats. I'm going to have to do some further research on the calculation of that stone. But again, magnificent color for aquamarine, very, very stunning mounting, and highly affordable. As soon as they told me the price on this, I was stunned. I just stood there in awe, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So that was a definite yes. Let me load the box. I'll be right back. And I always try to give advice to the new buyers out there that are just getting into this reselling business. The one thing I always have luck selling are just gold chains. These were between, I think, $94 and $108 a piece. These are all 18 karat gold, and these are neck chains that are 18 karat gold. I always have luck selling plain neck chains because they frequently break, or people, buy a pendant and they don't get a chain with it. That is 18 karat gold on that one, yellow gold. This is 18 karat rose, or strawberry gold as they're calling it nowadays. And then there's this one that is 18 karat white gold. What I would recommend is not going much thinner than these chains because they will break. These are very strong and very robust. You could see that those are soldered together beautifully, and always get a very strong clasp on the end of that. So people are able to get them on and off. That's a great size. I wouldn't go much, much smaller than that. It makes it difficult to get them on and off. So that's just friendly advice to new resellers. Rope chains always do well, and this little cross was just beautiful. So that's a 14 karat rope chain. Wonderful, because I believe it's 18 or 20 inches, and that is a diamond cross pendant. I have great luck selling small pendants as well. Now, let me show you one of the big surprises from the pawn shop. This was basically, I don't want to say it was given to me, but it basically was. And this was a major win. And the reason for that is because such chains are getting very difficult to find. This is an arts and crafts sterling silver neck chain. It does need to be straightened out in a few different places, but that is a wonderful early 1900 to 1915 handmade arts and crafts, beautiful mission era sterling silver chain. Totally not thought about at the pawn shop. And look at that early toggle. And these are, in fact, turn of the century, meaning 1900 to 1915. Very important to purist collectors like myself that love the arts and crafts time period and have a heck of a time finding the arts and crafts chain. Forgotten about and not thought about, $8 to $10. I think this one was thrown in with the bundle for free. I think that on the retail level now, because it's completely handmade, I would think that I would be able to get between $125 and $165. And some people would disagree with that, and I would say, well, when I sell it for that, then we'll talk. So, what makes you the expert is what I always say. But wonderfully handcrafted, completely hand soldered together. And look at those little medallions with those granulations applied to the surface. So those, be on the lookout for antique and early chains that are hand constructed. You can make a ton of money. And over the years, I've made thousands and thousands of dollars on such chains that are forgotten about. These are 10 karat white gold, again, pawn shop found. I think I paid $60 or $65 for these, and they're in wonderful condition. So those were an absolute yes. 10 karat white gold. It's stronger than 10 karat 14. It's stronger than 14 karat white gold. That's what I meant to say. A lot of sterling silver from the one pawn shop, and it was so affordable and so cheap. I sprung into action and I said, I'm doing it. A lot of wonderful Native American from this one pawn shop, and it was so cheap. So incredibly cheap. I said to myself, I'm going to load up, and look at how much I bought. This is artisan made, and I just loved that one. And I did get a sterling silver Christmas ornament. Probably Wallace or Gorham or Reed and Barton. That one is, I think that one is Gorham. At least it looks like. Yeah, that one's Gorham. Christmas in 1971, maybe? 71 or 74. Look how large that is. Absolutely gorgeous sterling silver ornament. Let me clear those out of the way. And then let me zoom out just a little bit and give this a little bit more space. And I don't know why I'm yelling so early in the morning or so late at night. Look at that gem grade peridot in solid 14 karat yellow gold with that diamond halo. Wonderful presentation box. And again, notice the heft of that chain, even though thin, incredibly well made and all soldered together. I love peridot as a gemstone. It's definitely starting to see a resurgence as well. Look at that checkerboard cutting, vibrant lime green with those yellow flashes. You want to see peridot that color. That's the color you want, and that's the dazzle and scintillation of peridot that you want to see. A magnificent and magical stone, so if you haven't seen my peridot video, please race over and watch that. Again, I don't usually buy diamond line bracelets, but this one was basically sold for the gold weight, and these diamonds are truly magnificent. It is approximately 2 or 2.5 carats of natural, out of the earth diamonds. I never thought I'd have to stress that. But now with lab diamonds, we have to say earth mined. So, and that's okay. We just have to get used to it. Something I didn't think I'd ever see. And I asked one of my friends in the gemstone business, I said, did you ever think you'd have to say that? And he said, no, I thought that, they've been making diamonds for a long time. And he said, I never thought that they would really perfect it to like gem grade quality. He said, for industry like sandpaper and abrasives, he said, yeah, they could crank them out. He said, but I didn't think they'd start cranking them out so beautiful. But look at those for